Hello, chaps and chapettes. Welcome to episode 5 of the Investalex podcast. Today I'm here with Jonny Marsden from Secure. Fucked it. Today I'm joined by Mr. Jonny Marsden from Secure Space Housing. He's joined us today at Horn Park Golf Club in Surrey. Bit of a funny story really. I've had to borrow my missus' car, a little Fiat 500 to get down here today. But yeah, hopefully the weather holds up as well. We'll play a bit of golf later. But just for the listeners, Jonny, can you just give us a bit of context, a bit of background as to what you do in property?
Sure. So I've been investing in property for nearly 15 years and I've worked alongside the UK's largest house builders in that time as well. Companies like Linden Homes, Taylor Wimpey, Crest Nicholson, they were some of my clients. And I now run my property investment business full time, which is Secure Space Housing. What we essentially do is lease blocks of flats or lease property off of landlords and developers. We ready that property with any repairs or refurbishments, and then we relet that property back to social housing providers that we work with. And the social housing and supported living providers that we work with are all on government-backed or Home Office-backed contracts. So that really gives our investors a big layer of security.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially the fact that it's government-backed. I mean, also, who tends to be sort of the end user? When you say vulnerable people, who's the end user?
Yeah, so I didn't really touch on that, did I? Sorry. So the tenants we house are vulnerable people in the UK because we are working with social housing and supported living providers, and that can range from children out of the care system, people that are subject to domestic abuse, asylum seekers, tenants with mental or physical disabilities. It's really quite wide ranging of the type of people that we can fit into our accommodation.
But imagine each specific block might lend itself better to asylum seekers, or another one might lend itself better with a lot more facilities for people with physical needs that require constant support.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're very led by our housing providers for that. So they will say, we are looking for housing stock in this area, and we will go and seek out stock in that area. But you are right, particularly when it comes to a certain type of tenant. We couldn't put people that need wheelchair access in a high-rise 10-storey building. It just wouldn't work. Yeah. So, yeah, it's we get a wide range of property, but the core of what we pick up is blocks of flats.
Blocks of flats mainly, yeah. So, again, you just touched briefly a minute ago that you're in property full-time, which is fantastic. I've known you for a while now, and you have quite an interesting career beforehand. You're a producer for Sky Sports, is that right?
Not quite Sky, but I worked for a company called IMG, and they are a big production house. So they don't just work in sport; they work in all different facets. But I was on their within their sports team, if you like. I worked there for a couple of years as a content producer, and we would work on the football, so the Premier League. I got to work on a documentary with Tottenham Hotspur, and I'm a big Spurs fan. You're a Spurs fan as well.
Fan, yeah. Was that the Amazon one?
No. It was something actually for Spurs rather than for Amazon.
Spurs TV on YouTube.
Yeah, it was for Spurs TV.
That's wicked, mate. Yeah, really
I can't for the life of me remember the guy that we interviewed now, but it was cool to be a part of that.
Yeah.
We did some stuff on EuroLeague basketball, which is the European version of the NBA.
Yeah,
really.
I think basketball is huge in Spain, isn't it?
Massive. Yeah, Spain and a lot of the Eastern European countries as well. Yeah, massive. And the golf. I was lucky enough to go up to St Andrews for the 150th Open a couple of years ago, and did a couple more events, but more online. So yeah, I love that.
St Andrews is probably the pinnacle of golf. People that don't know anything about golf, it's essentially where golf is made with like wooden sticks and a tiny ball. It's made in St Andrews in Scotland, so that's amazing. I mean, how does your producing role from a while ago to property now differ? I feel like you've got a lot more purpose, particularly with housing vulnerable people, the social housing. I feel like you've got a lot more purpose in property now. So what's driving that?
It's probably worth mentioning as well that although I was working as a producer, I also said that I worked with some big house builders too.
Yep.
So anyone watching might be a little confused, but I purchased my first property back in 2011, did well on that, then moved on to a new project, but I had to move location completely. And when I moved location, I had to find myself a new job, and that job was within recruitment, but I was only working with house builders and main contractors for a good 5, maybe 6 years. So that's where I cut my teeth from how I started working with these bigger companies. And you asked me how it's transferable, did you say, or how it differs?
Well, yeah, how maybe in terms of enjoyment or the purpose that you get out of it, how is that different?
I was becoming a bit disillusioned with being a private landlord, because I've been a landlord since 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
I had a fairly sizable portfolio, and I sold over half of that to make my new business venture work, this secure space housing. I felt like I was becoming part of the problem a little bit. It's obviously a cost of living crisis, rents are really high, making it difficult for people to...
So you wanted to distance yourself from the negative stigma of your typical landlord?
Yeah, and also I didn't really feel like I was contributing much to society. I felt like I was doing the opposite. I don't necessarily think that landlords are leeches or scum like some people will describe, but I felt that I wasn't... I could be doing more.
You could do more.
Yeah, I've done stuff for charity before, and I've run the marathon for children with cancer with a good friend of mine, or my best mate. If you still have best mates when you're in your mid-30s.
Yeah, you do.
But I just felt I wanted to do more within work, and secure space housing. We help house so many vulnerable individuals and families, and it's given me more purpose and more drive.
I think that's what I'm trying to touch on, and that's really, really nice to hear. And you're certainly reaping the benefits now. I saw on Instagram, I think it was probably a few weeks ago now actually, you hit a 20k month, followed by another 20k month, which is really good to hear. And also, I think I saw a story, it might have been a story, you might have been to a restaurant with your missus or something, saying that you were able to finally, for the first time this year, pay yourself something meaningful, which when I saw that, that brought me so much joy, mate. I was so happy to see that, like, the amount of effort and work you're putting in, you're seeing a very, very decent reward. Because you're doing the YouTube now, you've got your hands in many pots, mate. So it's
fingers in a lot of pies.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, we did it was a 10k month, first 10k month, and then the month following we actually did a 40k month. This is turnover, but we don't have a lot of overhead, so our profit was not far off of what we turned over.
Yeah.
And I took from that, I managed to take my first proper dividend, which is what you're saying, like my first proper payment, and my business partner managed to do that too. And that was after a solid year of hard graft and all the experience and work I've done previously, saying to myself this time last year really, or this time 13 months ago, that in a year I've got to be full-time in property with this business, with secure space housing, or I've failed. And we managed to get there.
Well, so, I mean, congratulations, well done,
thanks, mate.
It's really, really, I'm very happy for you. It's so good to hear that. And I think a lot of property educators and people in property might, again, disillusion new starters and beginners. I'm not saying that you are a new starter or beginner, but they do that to a lot of people, saying, "Oh, get rich quick, 5k a month is easy, this and that." It is not. Property is not instant gratification. It takes time. There's a lot of effort involved, a lot of time involved, probably more money to invest in yourself than you may initially think. So like after a year, I mean, what's a year really? If you sacrifice a year, really focus, put the effort in, it's nothing to then reap the benefits of the next couple of decades. So yeah, well done, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Really, really good to hear.
Yeah, it flies by. It does.
Yeah.
And you're right with a lot of property educators saying that you can you know, it's like a get rich quick thing, and it's not. It takes a lot of hard work and time, and invested in my education. And I know that you would agree with me. Investing in your education, whether it be in property or whatever it is you want to do, is so important. And
I think if you're not willing to invest in yourself, how can you expect others to invest in you? So if I've not spent X amount, getting myself educated with the right type of people, surrounding myself with individuals who are currently where I want to be, how can I expect an investor to give me X amount for a deal if I've not put the effort in previously?
Exactly.
To prove that I've got the knowledge and things like that to give them the returns that they want.
I've raised hundreds of thousands of pounds from people within my new network, if you like, since I started getting educated. And I'm developing relationships with people like yourself, even though we've known each other for a little while. We've only started talking work-wise or about work that we can do together recently, and that's all through starting to get educated and then putting yourself out there and working with people within that educational network, all on the same wavelength.
Yeah, absolutely. And just with, I mean, again, with property, just like the time scale that you might be able to expect to see the benefits of it. I saw a quote the other day, I can't actually remember it exactly, but it goes along the lines of the fire will burn slow, but when it does, it burns bright. So I think that, again, just is maybe a quote that holistically explains what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I can edit this bit. What's next? I need to look at my list. Okay. Struggles and losses next. I'm going to talk about the meeting you had. I don't know how to start that.
Maybe you can say you saw a LinkedIn post or something if you want. You can
post that you were about to go into a very important meeting, and
how
did it go?
Say it however you like, mate. However you want.
All right. Yeah. So obviously you're quite prevalent on social media, which is great to see. Very, very consistent. One of the most consistent that I personally see. A lot more than me, anyway. That's for sure. But I saw a LinkedIn post a few weeks ago. You had some sort of very, very important meeting coming up. I think maybe it was for a family office investor, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but do you want to dive into that?
Yeah, you're on the right lines. Can I swear on this?
Of course you can, yeah.
Yeah, I fucked it up.
Shit.
I fucked it up. But quickly on the social media thing, I am pretty consistent, but I jump between different social media channels. So when I plug my socials later, people will see that I don't post a lot on Instagram, but maybe I'm quite active on LinkedIn or YouTube.
Yep.
It's hard to be everywhere, isn't it? It really is hard to be everywhere.
But some platforms lend themselves better to certain types of content. Like you can't put a reel on LinkedIn. It just won't get the right reach.
No, people like to read.
LinkedIn's got to be like a story, like an education as well. But TikTok, like just videos. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, we had a big meeting that we'd been working on for months. When I say we, I have a business partner, and through his contacts, we managed to arrange a meeting with a potential big funder, like an institutional type funder. And after going back and forth for months and months and working out our finances and how we would present it to this person, when it came to the actual day, I misinterpreted a brief. So we've got secure space housing here. We've got the person that's like connecting us, and then we have the funder. Yep. And the person that's connecting it all, our go-between, they wanted me to be like as brief as possible and as high level as possible to the funder when we had the meeting. And I just
want to see the headline figures, no real detail.
I misinterpreted it as an elevator pitch.
Yep.
And I did like 30 to 45 seconds of a pitch and then opened the floor up for questions. And it wasn't received very well at all. I should have gone into more detail. It was a bit of a comedy of errors, to be honest, and a massive learning curve. I certainly won't do it again.
Is it
things
so
are meant
how
to
did
be or
you
not.
misinterpret the brief? Was it your go-between that maybe didn't explain to you what was required from the meeting, or under preparation or something like that?
I think everybody has a part to play in this, and everybody is probably slightly to blame, but I'm going to try and take all the responsibility I can, because I think that's the best way you can move forward with things too. Once you try and take it all on your own shoulders, it's a lot easier to get over than just blaming everybody else. So look, we had months to prepare. I could have been a lot more proactive and gone through the pitch with them multiple times and honed it, etc., etc., but I didn't do that, and I should have. So we're actually going through that process now, where we're talking with a very senior connection of theirs who's held positions like COO and even CEO of some companies, and has seen a lot of these pitch decks. And just yesterday we were on a Zoom call going through that and how we can improve it and what changes he would make. So you can only dwell on it for so much, mate, for so long, and you at the end of the day,
change the past. Like, how can you improve in the future?
you just got to get on with it.
Particular contact dead in the water, or have you got another opportunity possibly?
We've got a few other opportunities that are similar, and whether this one's dead in the water, I don't know. It may well be. Only time will tell.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I'm wishing you the best, mate.
Thanks, mate.
And it is a real shame about that one.
Cried myself to sleep.
I was hoping for some good news, but we need a bit of drama on the podcast, don't we?
No, we've got more. There are other opportunities out there through this contact and with different funders, but this particular one, the one that I kind of messed it up with, I don't know. Never say never, but I think in the immediate future.
Also, they're not the only ones that can provide what you require.
No, mate,
there'll be plenty of others.
Money's everywhere.
If that one, if this individual or company or whatever don't want to invest in you, that's fine. Move on to the next.
You can't win them all.
No,
absolutely can't win them all. Even on any level, this is big institutional money, and it's when I was originally introduced to it, I was out of my comfort zone completely. Lucky I had my business partner there who's very used to that type of conversation and being around that money.
Yeah,
but
that's where you grow, isn't it? If you're always comfortable, you're just never gonna push the boundaries and improve. So it's good to be out of your comfort zone, eh?
If you're this isn't me saying this. I heard this.
It's a bit windy.
Yeah, this is something that I've heard before. But basically, if you are the smartest or most experienced person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Okay. Yeah.
Like you want to be around people that know more than you and that can level you up.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I completely agree.
If you're top dog in the room, then you need to get in a better room, mate. Unless you're doing a talk or a speech or something. But
like, yeah, I can resonate with that. I think that applies to all sorts of things. Like even football, I've had trials at various clubs, and you play so much better at a trial because you're with other very, very good players.
Yeah.
And there's something like you're the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So if they're all bums and going nowhere in
bums.
life, yeah.
Conor McGregor over here.
You'll do nothing. If you're all bums, you're going to go nowhere. You're going to be the average of these people that you spend time. But put yourself in a group situation, a network, a close-knit friendship group who are all excelling and all striving to be that next level above and keep going and going. So,
I met someone a month or 2 ago, and they came and did a guest speaking spot at a property networking event that I host called Property And Poppadoms.
I was going to bring that up.
And cool, we'll get to that then.
Yeah.
And he has a network of close friends, but just his general network have a wealth of like 2.5 billion. And he was saying that there's certain people in his phone book he can just call up, and he wasn't flexing, but he said they trust me so much now that I can call them up and say, I need a couple of $100,000. This is how much I'll give you back, and they know that he'll come good on his word, or at least the type of projects he's involved in or the investments that he does are good, and they don't need to go into detail about the project because they trust him. But his network,
his due diligence will be very, very thorough, and that what he says goes.
Yeah, but the money around him, like you say, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he's not too far from that. He's got some really rich friends, and rich people tend to knock about with rich people,
Yeah,
don't they?
basically, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just touching on the property in Poppadoms. I don't know too much about it, so just
Property and Poppadoms, Property and Poppadoms. It's hard to say, but a few times it's a tongue twister, especially when you're presenting to everybody and you're trying to say it over and over again.
Nerves and things like that are kicking in. Property.
It's an event that was started by a chap called James Rogers, and he owns a company called 978 Finance. They're a brokerage, and it's grown exponentially. They've just won an award at Blue Bricks magazine for he's gonna kill me for not being able to remember this, community of the year, or like property community event of the year, something around that.
And they're the fastest growing property
networking event in the country. They've got stuff all over the country now. I think they're closing in on 35 different locations up and down. And I just so happen to be the host of the Brighton one, but I made sure that I reached out to him because I could see they were growing. There was nothing in Brighton. There's not enough good property networking events in Brighton either, and there's a lot of money in Brighton and Hove. It's an affluent area, so
it's a no-brainer to stick one of the events there then.
Absolutely.
And there's clearly a gap in the market. You guys can come in. I mean, how many people are rocking up to these events?
We've had 60 over the last 2 events, collectively.
Right.
So we had...
That's a solid number.
Or maybe it was 50. We had like 35 at the first one and about 25 odd at the second. And the connections are made. Been amazing. Like...
especially as you're hosting... If anyone wants advice or to have a chat, they'll probably come straight to you because you're the face of that event. So who do I have to talk to? Oh, that fella who was talking at the start. Go straight to you.
You position yourself well when you become a host because people automatically assume you're very experienced. I just so happen to be pretty experienced.
You said 15 years in property.
And I am experienced, but I think a lot of people get put off by the thought of being a host when they've only been in property for a couple of years because their idea of a host is someone that's been doing it forever. I'll tell you now, not a lot of hosts. Like as the host, you're the connector. You don't have to be the most experienced person in the room. Yeah. And I can tell you now, hand on heart, I'm nowhere near the most experienced person in the room when I'm there. I'm just the head of the room. Exactly.
And certainly you can just you can basically bring in guest speakers who are the experts to provide some insight into the market or their experiences in property. So you don't necessarily have to be the expert every single week, but just get someone else in to share what they've done.
Exactly. We've had some wicked speakers of late. A guy called Alistair Farquhar and Kieran Goldie. They're part of a company called Coing Home, and they do big HMO developments or luxury HMO developments, predominantly on the south coast, but also Bristol. Anything HMO wise, they're just amazing. They're both super impressive. Kieran's in his mid-20s and he knows so much about property. It's unbelievable. Very successful in his own right. And Alistair's an equally impressive chap, although he might be a little bit older. And then the guy that we had Tuesday just gone, chap called Aaron Knightley. Nearly 500,000 followers across all his social media channels, hundreds and hundreds of millions of interactions on his social media.
Yeah.
And
this is a good story about how you met him.
Oh yeah, I'll say that actually.
Yeah.
So, and it highlights the power of networking and putting yourself out there when you can. Mm-hmm. Me and you have travelled an hour today each to meet here because something could come from it and we don't know what it could be. To do this, play a bit of golf, but also we're going to have a chat for a couple of hours on the course about property and whatever else. Yep. And you should put yourself in situations where you think you're going to get a good return on time invested, ROTI, return on time invested.
It's different to cash, but time is money at the same time.
Totally. And how you use that time. Like, is it a good use of your time?
Yeah.
You have to be a bit selfish sometimes. This is a good return on my time because I'm on a podcast and you're going to put this out there and people might see me. That's a selfish view. I wanted to see you too and play golf.
Yeah,
you know?
The point of the podcast is a platform for other people to showcase their business and talk about your wins and how good you are, basically.
Exactly. And I actually ended up taking a meeting that wasn't maybe the best return on my time invested at the time, but I'm building my network in Brighton, and I was be damned if I wasn't going to just meet everybody that wanted to meet me in Brighton. And I took on a meeting with someone that I wasn't convinced at all that it was going to go anywhere. But like I said, told myself that I'm going to take all the meetings I can just to grow my network as much as possible. I'll get there really early, and the cafe that we were meeting in, or the coffee shop we were meeting in, was chock-a-block. I couldn't get in. But I did, when I was queuing up to order my coffee, I saw someone in the corner and I was like, oh, I recognise that guy. So had to sit outside, my coffee came, and then someone left. I got up to take the seat that was inside, and it just so happened to be sitting next to him. Yep. And as I got closer to him...
So when you say him, for the listeners, is it Aaron?
He's called Aaron Knightley.
Aaron Knightley, yeah.
Very prevalent on TikTok, particularly, but he's got like 350,000 followers on TikTok, about 20k on YouTube, and very popular on LinkedIn too. Yeah. I'd seen him on TikTok.
Yeah. So you just saw him in a coffee shop, a seat next to him opened up, plonked your ass down, sat next to him.
Plonked myself down next to him, and I thought, how the fuck do I start talking to this guy?
Yeah.
Like, what's the best way of doing it without going, oh, hi? Yeah.
That's desperate. No one's interested.
I was trying to figure out a way. Now, I actually pretended, when we started talking, I pretended to him that I had no idea who he was, but I did know who he was. Okay. I didn't know his name at that time, but I knew I'd recognise him. Mm-hmm. So I opened up my laptop and I started editing one of my YouTube videos. And
that's a bit of a flex, just that, isn't it?
And he leant over. There were some kids making loads of noise in the background, and we were both looking at each other like, what are these lot doing? And then as he leaned over, he saw that I was editing a YouTube video, and he was like, oh, what are you doing? Mm. And from there, we just started chatting.
So he really started the conversation?
Yeah, I left some clues for him to start talking to me, but yeah, he started.
Well, if he's got 20k
chatting.
Subs on YouTube, and your mate editing a YouTube video, he's going to be interested.
Yeah, he was.
So it's very smart of you to like prod him and poke him indirectly to spark something. Yeah. And so well done. Yeah. And he's come into Property and Poppadoms, is he?
Property and Poppadoms. Yeah, he came as a guest speaker to Property and Poppadoms, and we met up a couple of times in between that as well for coffee, and he just gave me loads of free advice on how to build my personal brand and how to market myself on social media. Mm-hmm. And I knew that his talk was going to be good when he did it, and I'm telling you now, it was the stuff that he spoke about was mind-blowing, and we barely scratched the surface. We normally give people like 20 minutes. He must have had 30, 35 minutes, but everyone in the room was just zoned in properly. He must be
a good public speaker as well then.
He's a very good public speaker. Well, he runs his own events company too. He wears a lot of hats. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk too much about him. In case he sees this, he'll be like, oh, thanks a lot for the free marketing, Jonny. But he's a great guy, and he was talking about personal brand, how to build on social media, and how to monetize on social media as well. So many educators and people in property say that you need to raise third-party finance or raise money from sophisticated professional or institutional investors to start your projects. Well, actually, he's got a different take on that. He's not saying don't, but he's saying that you can find money for your first project through social media. And the money he's earned off of social media in the last 18, 19 months is, well into the six figures. So if you can just work hard on your socials.
A large number of individuals pooling together a small amount of cash.
No, this is how much money he earns through social.
Per video, maybe a brand sponsor advert or something.
All of the above, mate. How much TikTok will just pay him, say.
Yeah.
How much he'll earn on brand deals because he's got a couple of sponsors. And
but you do need that following to begin with.
Yes.
Which takes time.
Well, you need to build on it, and he's built on it over that time. But it was just, it proves that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, being on social media and building your personal brand on social media, if you don't start doing it now, in a couple of years, the people that are in your industry that are doing it, they will overtake you. Everybody's on social. In 5 or 6 years, the people that are 18, 19 now, they'll be in their mid-20s, they might have come into quite a bit of money by that point, and they'll be ready to invest, and you'll be behind the times. So being on social is so important.
So important, yeah. Just going back, we're sort of jumping all over the place, but I've got a short story I'd like to share. This is about taking meetings as many meetings as you can. Now, I did some investor leafleting in the area that I live, sort of northwest London, very affluent area. I did some investor leafleting and saying like, I can provide you X amount of returns, this is my number, give me a call. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the gist. I had a call from an individual, said to him, look, I live around the corner, let's meet at a coffee shop on Thursday morning, something like that, and we can have a chat. I was going to the meeting not expecting much at all. I thought this guy might, a few £100,000 is a lot. We can certainly do some bits with that. But that's the sort of level I was thinking. Within a couple of minutes of the conversation, I understood that he was a director of a family office. They're selling £5 million worth of assets as we speak and wanted to have a chat with me in the new year. So from a meeting that, this is maybe saying to everyone, just you don't know what you don't know. So a meeting with someone, rock up, put your best foot forward. You honestly don't know what's going to come from it. So, and this one is just a prime example. I thought he might have X amount of money. It turns out he's got Z amount of money. I don't know how to...
X, Y, A, B, C, all the way to Z.
I don't know how else to word it, but yeah, very, very good. So
nice. Congratulations.
Cheers, mate. Yeah. Right, just changing the subject a bit. I always do this. A few quick fire questions.
Cool.
Something a bit of fun to end on. What has been your best holiday?
Probably definitely my first. I'm going to piss off the missus here. Hang on a minute. Can I give two?
Of course you can,
okay.
Yeah.
Ibiza, the first ever lads holiday when I was 17, 18.
That's young for Ibiza.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
It was class.
Oh, yeah.
And then most recently, it was less of a holiday, more of a once in a lifetime trip. Me and the missus did Europe and Southeast Asia over the course of like 9 months, and that was just life changing, amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. Do you have a hidden talent?
Maybe you'll find out on the course later. I played the violin. Yeah, from the age of like 12 to 17, I played the violin, and then I stopped. But I can still pick it up and play it. Yeah,
that certainly is a hidden talent. I used to play a piano, and I quite fancy having some lessons again.
Yeah,
I've not played it in probably about 10 years. I quite fancy it.
It gets like that, doesn't it?
It's impressive. Like if you're in a pub and there's a piano, or like King's Cross Station, there's a piano.
You want to show off, don't you?
Yeah, you want to show off. You want to tickle the ivories. You want to just impress some people.
I like it.
Yeah. What would be your death row meal? We don't have it in the UK, but what would be your death row meal? You can have 3 courses if you want.
Okay, I definitely have main course. I'd have swordfish. That's my favourite.
Wow.
That's my favourite. It's the best meal I've ever had. I had it in America somewhere. I've never forgot about it, but I've never had it again since. I'd have scallops for starter.
Oh, lovely.
And then I'd have sticky toffee pudding for dessert. Yeah.
Nice, very, very nice.
Maybe a KFC as well. Just
after.
Yeah. Or something. Just have the KFC there. Just have it there, so I can just like tuck into a little mini fillet burger or something.
Yeah. If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
South Korea or Vietnam. It's either Seoul in South Korea or Hoi An or Hanoi in Vietnam. Yeah. Amazing places.
I've heard Vietnam is incredible. I'd love to go there.
Friendliest people, great food.
Good food, yeah.
All right, pretty good weather, but just so cheap in Vietnam particularly. You could live like a king there.
Yeah. What kind of music are you in? Favourite music?
I used to be big into my house music and disco and stuff like that, but less so now. As I've got older, I I like all of it, bar metal, really. So R&B, lo-fi, acoustic stuff, indie. I still do listen to a little bit of house, UK garage. Yeah, anything. I do, yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Most used emoji.
the crying face one.
The
laughing crying face one, which I've told is the perfect indication that I'm born in the 80s. Apparently no one uses that anymore, or am I wrong?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right. Last question. If someone was to play you in a film, who would it be?
Jason Statham, got the bald head and the beard.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, or maybe
not the abs though.
No, not the. What are you trying to say? Who else? Can I just pick? Do they have to look like me, or can I just pick whoever I want?
Mate.
Leonardo DiCaprio, because he's one of my favourite actors.
He's a legend, absolute legend. Okay, Euro 2024. England are playing Switzerland tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hopefully we win.
Yeah.
How far do you think we'll get in the tournament?
Mate, we could get knocked out tomorrow, couldn't we? Let's be honest. Yeah. Like, they've got some really good players: Vargas, Xhaka, Mbolo, Freuler. Is it Freuler? I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Gruler as well? Or is he German?
Arda Güler. He's Turkish.
Oh, he's Turkish.
Yeah, but the Swiss team have a good side, and I just think they might have a little bit more heart and bite than we do.
They're well balanced as well, whereas we're just trying to throw every old Jimmy in the team to try and make it work, and it's not
shooing them in.
Yeah.
But we're playing a different formation because Gahey's out. So
I've seen it's like a 3-6-1.
Mate,
much.
Look, put it this way: if we play like we played in the last few games, we're not going to win any. We're not going to win it because we can't play that badly. But if something changes and we get a rocket up our backside, then fine. But I will be supporting us with good vibes the whole time and no hoping that we win. I'm not negative like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully, there's another belly goal coming up soon. Okay, so we're basically halfway through 2024. What are your goals for the rest of the year?
Business goals or personal, or a bit of both?
Anything you like, mate.
We're planning on having a baby this year.
Really?
So we'll start making babies soon.
Yep.
And
say no more.
With the business, say no more. I just have to put a lot of work in. With the business, we're aiming on housing 1,500 families, or basically acquiring 1,500 units / flats over the next 3 years. So by the end of this year, we'd like to have completed on closer to 250. That would be a good goal of ours. Mm-hmm. And onboarded a proper permanent member of staff in like a PA or a VA. We want to have sponsored some sort of charity or be more involved in some charitable actions rather than just what the business is doing. I think you got to put although the business is doing it, we want to do more personally.
Yeah.
And
it struck me as everything you said today, really, a very, very giving person, and it's quite refreshing to see.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, I wish I was maybe a little bit more charitable and things like that, but I certainly don't do as much as I could or should. But it's good to hear that you are, and that you're actively thinking about these things, not just saying you might do it. You're trying to implement it in the business. It's really good to see, mate.
It's on my mind. It's definitely on my mind, and I think maybe try and get out for another holiday before the year ends. Even though we've just come off a big trip, I think being able to treat ourselves, but. At the moment, it's ticking by. Thanks, mate. Thank you. At the moment, it's ticking by, and if it keeps going the way it does, happy days.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, well, I'll plug your socials in the description of this video. Yeah. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for your time, Jonny. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thank you, mate.
I thought we were going to do that one.
I just cabbaged him. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
All right. And thank you guys for listening or watching wherever you are. And remember, don't stress, just invest. I'll do the rest. Thank you. And the weather's just turned nice.
Perfect.
Lovely.
Yeah, mate.